everyone on the call this afternoon. I'm glad to have all of you. Welcome, Mr. Welcome, sir. We're glad to have you live on the call today.
Thank you.
Okay, so today we're tackling the issue of free education. Why free schooling fills Nigeria's poorest families. We all know how important education is to an economy and a nation and everyone. Education is very important. And in Nigeria, we have this concept of free education where the government pays, in quotes, for children to go to school free without the parents having to bother themselves about paying school fees, buying books, exam fees, and all of that. But today we are tackling this issue because we have discovered that free education is more or less a mirage to an average Nigerian, because in that free education that we all know, we have discovered that there are hidden fees that children or parents have to pay. And until those fees are paid, the child cannot even sit in class in most cases. So we discovered that even with the free education, we have discovered many children are out of school. There are lots of out of school children. And in our research, we found that Knosk also has education for real, or it is just a mirage. And I'll be delving into our discovery as an organization about free education. So this is what this call is all about. And so that's why we invited you. For being in the system, you will also be asking questions that will help us profile solutions to this issue, or at least let other organizations to see where they can come in helping tackle the issue of education so that every child is in school. At least most children want to go to school, but because their families cannot afford this education, you see them at home, you see them loitering the streets and all of that. So we are discussing these issues today. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Okay, so the point will be handling at this moment is misconception of free education. Okay, sir, thank you very much. Okay, so looking at misconception of free education, why education in public school is officially free in Nigeria, then the reality paints a different picture. Like what I said in my intro, the reality is not really what is obtainable. So we've discovered that there are hidden fees. Okay, so like in Nigeria spends % of its national budget on education, far below the recommendation of 15 to 20% of what it should spend on education. Now, even if it is 15%, that is half of what it's supposed to spend. It's supposed to have spent 15 to 20. That is, the least should be 15. But we've realized that they're just spending about 7.2% budget on free education. This underfunding, it has created resource shortage in schools, leaving parents and communities to shoulder the rest of the responsibility. So families often bear the cost. They bear the cost of exams, textbooks, uniforms, exam fees, okay, like JAM. If a child has to write JAM, the parent must definitely pay. Has the government really funded JAM such that any child that wants to write JAM, even without the parent having any dime, can that child actually sit for that exam? Now, there is nothing like that because the budget alone is far below what it should have been. So these children cannot be in class. There are families that the only thing they are concerned about is how to feed. There are these notions that it is who eats that might go to school or do any other thing. Because,
Yes.
of course, if you haven't eaten, what are you going to class to do? And I believe you've seen children who come to class,
Yeah.
but they cannot even concentrate because they didn't eat. So a family that is still struggling out on feeding will not be able to send a child to school because once you're in school, and maybe I have 5 or 3 children, and then with the cost of food, especially currently, I have not fed these 5 children. How am I even going to send them to school? Now, the government is saying there is free education, but we are not even seeing it. The parents said, okay, this school is asking us to pay maybe 1,000 naira, but then when the child gets into school, the child is spending over 50,000 naira.
Yeah.
And this is a family that can barely eat.
Sorry.
How do you expect this child to stay in class? How do you expect this parent to be able to afford this fee? Because the cost of tests, the cost of uniforms, the exam fees, and all other costs now we might not even know are also there. And this child is not able to go to school. So we've also realized that there are systemic challenges like policies like age requirements or jam. Hello, are we together?
Yes, I'm listening. I'm here with
So
you. Yeah.
the systemic policies on age requirements, their age bracket, there are sometimes you see there are some children because of their age, they might not even want to go to school because other children will laugh at them. Okay, I'll pause for Mr. Kingsley to introduce himself. Sorry, sir, I didn't ask for that.
All
So
right.
please, sir, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Yes.
Hello, Mr. King.
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. So, I mean, I was already engrossed in the conversation and the background overview that Praise was already providing. My name is Kingsley Bangwell. I am co-founder of the Knox 100 Naira a Day charity school here in Abuja, Nigeria. We are a school that is primarily established to provide access to quality and skills-based education to only children from poorest households. Yeah, so that is what we do here in Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
We were far behind schedule. Thank you so much. We're glad to have you on the call. We were far behind schedule, so we're trying to meet up. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So we'll be going on with
you're
our
welcome.
discussion. Realize systemic
Yeah,
challenges, policies like age requirement, just like I was saying. There are some children that maybe it was later on in life that the parent maybe had access to funds. There are sometimes they cannot even be in school because some other children laugh at them. Some will say you're old,
yeah,
and they don't have the confidence to face such embarrassing circumstances. Like the child is saying, "You're this one is too old," and even sometimes you have them in class and they are rather bullying the younger ones. Free education is creating. Because if the family had funds from day one, they will send that child to school. Or maybe this is the time that life got better. They are not able to handle both schooling and feeding.
at the same time.
So, sir, I don't know at this point if you have any questions to ask us. Hello, Mr. Kingsley.
No, so far, yes, I'm here. So far, I'm following the conversation, and like I said, I'm really engrossed in the choice of conversation and in in the direction of the conversation. And indeed, the things you've said are things that are practical and I can relate with because, like I started in my introduction at the Knox 100 Naira a day school, we provide, our mission is to provide access to quality and skill-based education to children from poorest household. Children who even find it difficult to go to the government public schools. So I can relate with some of the things you're sharing in terms of as they, get to school, the barriers they face. So these are things that are practical that I read that are happening in underserved rural communities. And I'm happy that we have this kind of platform where we can spotlight at these things.
Okay, thank you. So, sir, I would be delving into some of the questions that I would like to ask you. So, one of the questions I would like to ask at this point is, can you share with us the history of Knox School?
All right. So the law school was started in 2019, September. So this is our 6th year of school. By the way, we are a secondary school. And when we started North School because we wanted to deal with two major issues. The first is, the access barrier for poor children or children from poorest households who couldn't access even government schools because of financial barrier. That was the first problem we're trying to solve through the law school. The second was the quality learning. There is a learning gap even among primary and secondary school. A World Bank report states that 70% of Nigerian children under 15 are struggling with learning gap, while a UNICEF report says between 18 to 20 million children did not go to school today, majorly because of poverty. And so this is a true, permit me to use the word, two wicked, hider-headed problems that is confronting our education in Nigeria. And by the way, just not just Nigeria, this is a global issue. I was reading a report on India yesterday. They are grappling with this about the same issues, right? So we started the law school in 2019 in our own little way to solve this problem with 30 children. Yes, so that's how we started law school. Today we have 170 children in the school we run, and our policy is that they pay 100 naira a day, 100 naira a day as school fees, and which is about 6,000 naira a term. Of course, that money doesn't keep them in school. The money cannot keep them in school. So we find partners and what we call education angels to keep them in school. Because for 100 naira a day, the kids pay, they get books, uniform, lunch, sanitary pads for the girls, computer-based learning and mentoring. So 100 naira can afford all of this. And so we find education angels who sponsor a child at 80,000 a term. And that's the model we've used for the past 6 years.
So, the children, did they pay this money at once or
Thank
they
you.
pay per day as they come to school?
So our policy makes it flexible.
Hello?
They can pay every day, they can pay weekly, they can they can they can pay monthly. So we have made it flexible. So they pay either daily or weekly or monthly. We just want to make sure that it's easy to make that payment.
Okay, that's amazing. So you have about 170 children in school.
Yes, right now.
Are they all paying, like, can all the families afford this 100 naira per day?
At the moment, averagely about 40% of our students are able to consistently pay 100 naira a day. So what it means is that many families cannot afford to pay this 100 naira. That because of how real the poverty is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are practical issues. I can see that even with the 100 naira, we're still having challenges. Like parents cannot, not all of them are still
Yes.
able to afford that. So, sir, what challenges do these families face in accessing this education? What are the causes? Why even as low as 100 naira, they are not able to afford? Have you spoken with some of these parents?
Yes. So if you go by global report, according to the what do they call it now? The multi-dimensional poverty index of Nigeria that was reported in 2022, it reported that about over 60% of Nigerians experience multi-dimensional poverty, and that 72% of that number live in underserved rural area. What it means is that they are not just poor, but they have multi-dimensional poverty. And it means that they don't have, sustainable income. They don't have sustainable livelihood. Their income is unpredictable, and because of that, and when income is unpredictable, like you said, and money comes in once in a while, the priority will be food. Priority will be food, nothing else. And because of that, for these families who don't have stable income, who don't have, and there is no in some countries there is welfare, there is food stamp, there is all kinds of packages that people who are underserved can, augment their living and income. It's a bit easier. But in Nigeria, it's not been a very effective. We don't have an effective welfare process or system. So because of that, these families, they can afford. I can tell you for a fact that even in our school, some families, we have tried to support them to start business. And how much capital are we trying to give them? Some 20,000 naira for business capital, some 10,000 naira for business capital. And I'm talking about a family of 6 children. And then they are trying to raise 10,000 naira for business capital. So imagine a family that is trying to raise 10,000 naira for business capital. Some of them live in uncompleted buildings. Some of them live in zinc houses. And we have visited these houses. As a policy, before any child is admitted in the Knosk school, we must visit the family and visit the house and be sure they are truly from poor homes. So that is why they can't afford it. Many of them can't afford it. We have a few of them that sell roasted plantain on the street. One of the women that sells roasted plantain on the street, she does not even have capital. She goes to collect the plantain, credit, then sell. Then when she sells, she return and take. It's from there she's feeding about 4 children with her husband, who is old and unemployed. So that's just a typical example. I have another family that is
Oh,
looking for, is it 10,000 naira or so to start moi business, and they have 5 children or so. They live in a zinc house. The man is, not employed. So this is the kind of family we are catering for. We have a lot of orphans. We have a lot of single mothers who are trying to just barely make a living. So this is why they can't afford to pay this money. The poverty at the rural area is real and is really, really endemic and multidimensional. Hello?
okay, yes, I'm with you.
Yes, I'm done
Sorry,
with my, yes, I was done
the
with my
network is a
response.
bit poor. All right, thank you very much. So, how does Knox address hidden costs and ensure inclusivity?
All right, so as a school, we have no hidden costs. The policy is the school fees is 100 naira a day and nothing else. To pick up the form, you don't pay
Okay,
anything. The form is free. To
oh,
write the exams,
okay,
you don't pay anything. the exam is free. If you get the
Okay.
admission, you are guaranteed 6 years of secondary education at 100 naira every day. And on the first day of school, if you arrive with the 100 naira, you are admitted into class. If you arrive without the 100 naira, you are still admitted into class. So the 100 naira is not mandatory. We don't send children back whether they pay the 100 naira or not. And once you arrive school, if uniform is already ready, that first day you will get uniform, you will get books, and any other thing that is provided in the school, you will get it. And you will never be asked to pay any other money. However, we have the PTA, Parents Teachers Association. And as a way of showing appreciation for what we do, the Parents Teachers Association contributes 3,000 naira per parent as their contribution per term or so. And again, it is not mandatory whether you contribute it or not. It doesn't affect whether your child comes to school or not. Then when it's time to write WAEC or junior WAEC, we ask the parents to raise the money themselves, raise the money to register your child. But even at that, as a school, we go out of our way to talk to people to sponsor the children to write WAEC, the junior WAEC, so that the children don't miss out. Because if we depend on the parents, if a parent is not able to pay 100 naira regularly, how will they be able to pay thousands of naira for WAEC fee or junior WAEC fee? So as a school, we already have this as a plan, whether their parents are able to raise money or not. Our commitment is that we will make sure we still raise the money for the children to pay the fees. So there is no hidden fees. It is 6 years and it's still 100 naira we charge every day as school fees to our students.
Okay. I must
Yes,
comment that Knox is doing a very great job.
thank you. So it's like the network has kicked out praise.
Yes,
Um,
it has. So I had a question
yes,
I would like to ask concerning the free school fails Nigeria's poorest families, right? I do know that normally in a country, right, they're supposed education is supposed to be free for
yes,
all, right? What exactly makes it so hard for this free education to be free for everyone in Nigeria? You already talked about the fact that some people can even afford to pay 100 naira a day, right? And this is for Knox Education. So let's talk about the Nigerian government schools. We do know that it is not 100 naira a day, right? And these issues have never been talked about how hard it is for a family to raise 100 naira a day. So how expensive is this free education from government schools compared to what the poorest families can afford? How expensive is it for them? So they want to know what are these things that makes it so hard, these little charges that the government schools charge that makes it so hard for the poorest families to be able to afford to send their kids to school.
yes. So from our research and from what we know, when people we have as a policy as a country, we have universal basic education, that is free education from primary school to GSS2. We know that it is subsisting, it is a policy, it is existing. But what we also know is that, for instance, GSS1, I don't know what it is in primary school, but I know that in secondary school, when students get to GSS1, they are required to pay for uniform. They are required to pay for books. They are also required to bring other things like um, buckets, brooms, plain sheets, bundle of plain sheets, and a few other things. And when you put that cost together, it's quite some money. Depending on where you are, which state of the country you are, it could range. That could be between 30,000 and above, right? before the minimum wage was increased, it was actually higher than the minimum wage. Because when we did our research in 2019, you needed nearly 35,000 to be able to provide all those things for a student coming into GSS1 for the first time, right? Then by the time you're entering SS1, it's about the same thing, but it's a bit higher. And then now SS1, there is a fee you have to pay. And then I think there is a small levy that students also pay every term in government schools, between 5,000 or 6,000, right? Now that money is a lot higher. That entry point, the money for school fees and all of that is more than 35,000. And for, like I explained, for families who don't have regular income, families who don't have, you know, steady means of income, who don't have a good business. I give you an example. The woman that sells bole, and she maybe her business capital is 10,000 naira. That's her business capital. It is not possible for that woman to be able to have 40 or 50,000 to go and start her child in GSS1. And she may have 4 or 5 children. It is not possible. Or the woman that grinds tomatoes in the market, how much is to grind tomatoes? How much will she grind a day? How much will she raise a day? Then it's from that money she will feed her family. It's from that money she will do 1 or 2 things. Is it going to be easy for such a woman to accumulate 40 or 50,000 for her child to start school in September? The answer is no. You understand? Or is it a regular Okada rider that is riding Okada and returning money every day? Or is it the woman that sells corn on the street? Or is it the woman that sells akara? So can these women, can these people gather 30, 40, 50,000 to pay for 1 child to start school in the term while they are doing other things? So what that now means is that even government school is not easily accessible to poorest families. They can't afford it. Government school is for middle and higher income families who can afford to pay that money and pay the other, you know, keep feeding themselves, feeding their children and all of that. So that's why it's difficult for poor families to send their children to even government schools.
Thank
Hello.
you, Mr.
Yeah, I
Kingsley.
can.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello. Okay,
I can
obviously
hear
these are
you.
issues, um, yes, with you. So these are issues we can actually relate to as Nigerians. So thank you very much for that. So,
Yeah.
what are not plans for the future, and how can organizations like us come in?
All right. So the Knosk School, in providing this service, if you agree with me, we are just trying to touch the problem, because it's a big problem. You're dealing with several children, thousands of children in the FCT need access to school. We are just in one location. Even in Kuje here, we can't take all the children. So far, we have turned back maybe 500 children since we started the school. We have turned back about 500 children. For the 170 we have accepted, more than 500 have been turned back because our capacity, our space is a factor. We are using a rented facility, so we can't take as much as we would like to take. So if we're able to build our own facility, we may be able to take up to 100 children every school term. If we have a bigger facility, we may be able to take 200 or 300 students every school year and then grow. So those are the plans we have. Over the next 2 years, priority for us is to make sure every child at the Knosk School is sponsored. Currently, we have about 117, and about 60% of those children currently have sponsors. So we still have many children that nobody is sponsoring, and we need people to come up on board and begin to sponsor the children. That is a major priority for us. Another priority is supporting teachers. You will agree with me that no education without teachers, because whatever you're planning, you need teachers to drive this. And we need more teachers, and we need better welfare for our teachers. We are grateful for the partners that are supporting us to keep teachers in school. But we need more partnerships so that we can pay our teachers a living, sustainable wage. That is an area we need support, right? Another area we need support is providing the students with skills, because children from underserved community, beyond just certificate, they need livelihood skills. And we need partnerships that can help us set up skill center, equip it, and have technicians who can come and provide those skills in a sustainable way, so that by the time the children are finishing SS3, they will have a certificate, but they will have a livelihood skill with which they can advance themselves. Another important area is that we need to build our school. We need to build a school. We need people who can come and build classrooms in their name or build a block in their name. I tell people, when you invest in building a classroom, you have invested in the next generation, because thousands of children will pass through that classroom, develop skills, build themselves, grow and become important in life because of that access to classroom. And so I'm asking people who have resource and who want to invest in legacy, come and support us to build classrooms and to build hostels and to build labs and to build libraries, because students will have access to this place for years. And here, when you build the school will be there for many years, right? So these are the areas we will need partnerships, and we thank Queentrepreneur for what you're doing by promoting what we're doing, by exposing our work to a wider audience and to your networks. We are hoping that other organizations like you will do the same thing. Put us out there on platforms, promote our work, let more people get to know about what we're doing. Because as more people get to know what we're doing, more people will come in to support and partner with us. And then we can reach more children. And some of these children are going to grow up to become tomorrow's doctors, tomorrow's lawyers, tomorrow's engineers, tomorrow's innovators, because we gave them access to this, to classroom and school in this critical aspect stage of their lives.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. That's a wonderful one. You are hitting the point, and I love the conversation so much. I am
Thank
enjoying
you.
it, and I'm looking forward to a greater Knox School after
Yeah.
this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to know, can you tell us how Knox has, maybe an example of how Knox has changed a student life?
All right. We have many. We have many. All right. Which one do I? Okay, let me talk about a girl. We have a girl that she from a single mother. Her father died, and when the father died, there was no way to continue school. She was schooling in the government school here, and then she was always dropping out of school, but she managed to finish primary school. And then she was about 11 or 12. And when the mother went to meet her in-laws to say, I need support to keep this girl in school, they told her that there is no need for that, that once the girl is 14, they will find somebody to marry her. There are people that are waiting to marry that girl, once she turns 14. So you can imagine, that girl, we give that girl admission. Today, that girl is in SS3. She is now 18, right? So what it means is that we saved that girl from child marriage. Sometimes I used to joke with her to say, do you know by now you'll have had two children? Because if they had married her off at age 14, I'm sure by now she will have had 2 children. So this is just one practical example of how, we are changing the lives of children. It is Mandela that said education is the most important weapon. It's the most powerful weapon, right? With which you can change the future. We have changed the future of that girl. She's going to be graduating next year. She is currently the school president and one of our best mathematicians. That is what will have ended up as a child bride maybe 4 years ago. But because of the Knox school, this girl is in school. This is just one example. This is just one example. We have girls that, we had one at GSS2. The father came to carry her to go and get her married. And no, she said, no, she wants to finish school. We had a meeting with this man and all of that. On two occasions, he has come that he wants to marry the girl out. But we are grateful that we've been able to resist. And today, that girl is in SS2. That girl is in SS2. So hopefully, in the next 2 years, that girl is going to graduate. Right? And this is just example of children that we have shaped their future. I have a boy whose dad and mom are deaf and dumb, so they are physically challenged. That boy does not go to school because he's always helping the parents move around to do things and all of that. And somebody brought that boy and said, this boy's future is in jeopardy if he doesn't go to school, because the parents can afford to send him to school. And I'm telling you that the boy wrote our exam and he passed. And today, that boy is in school. He's in SS1. Let me tell you something. Education is the greatest opportunity to give an irrevocable gift to the next generation. And if Fletcher said that, it's a quote that I love. It is an irrevocable gift to the next generation. And that's what we're doing at the Knosk School. So I can go on and on and on about different children we have shaped, and we are changing their lives because there is a school where they just pay 100 naira a day to come. And whether they pay 100 naira or not, they have access to classroom. You need to unmute your mic. Your mic is muted.
Sorry, I read about the other girl you spoke about on the website.
Yes,
Last
Favor
year,
Linus.
yes, because that was when I discovered Knosk, well, that something like this existed. So I
Yes.
went onto the site, I read about the girl, the Knox school and everything. And I think I read this particular story and it touched me.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so thank you very much, sir. So I would also like to know, like, what innovative solutions has Knox implemented to address systemic challenges?
All right. So first of all, one of our innovation is the daily pay. Is an innovation that if you look at it, it's systemic, because it's something that can be adopted, and it can be adopted nationwide, to come up with a policy that allows underserved families to pay fees small, pay small, just pay in small tranches. It will make a big difference. That is an innovation that we own, and we are happy to see how this can be scaled. And a lot of people have been coming to us also to talk about this, and they're trying to. Someone has started something either in Osun or so. We had a lot of discussion. They're starting. Somebody starting someone in Lagos, in Kwara. People are reaching out to us and they're beginning to adopt this model, and we are happy that that is something that we are now making people to think about. Even as we discussed, we are just having a discussion with an organization in the Niger Delta that wants to use our model to run 100 naira a day ICT lab, so that children is inside the creek, they have a school, and they want to work with us so that for 100 naira a day, kids can come and access digital skills. So this idea now is beginning to gain wings. That is one. And innovation we're also working on is how to teach in classrooms. So we have a methodology we're using called action learning, and that works with what we call storified workbooks. These kids can't afford textbooks. They can't afford textbooks. They cannot pay 100 naira. It's textbooks they can buy. So we produce storified workbooks that is innovative in terms of the language is simplified, is storified, and then assessment and classwork and assignments, everything is embedded in that. That is a model that is innovative. And currently we're doing a study on it. We're going to be testing it in about maybe 8 to 10 schools across 4-5 states of Nigeria between now and the next school term, and then share our finding on how it was, what was the impact in terms of improving learning gap. So these are some innovations that the Knosk School has introduced and is working for us.
Okay. All right, that's amazing. So, since Knosk School inception, has the government like supported the school or in any way financially or even with equipment for learning?
Um, it was Diogenes that said the foundation of every state is the education of its youth. Diogenes said that quote, the foundation of every state is the education of its youth. Since we started this work, trying to contribute to the foundation of our country, Nigeria, I can say we have a relationship with the government because we are a government accredited school. So that means we've applied, they've done come for reviews, and then we have WAEC accreditation, NECO accreditation, BECHE accreditation, ERC, all of this accreditation. It means we've been interacting with government and all of that. That is the level of relationship we have with government. When we host events, we usually invite them and they attend. But in terms of saying financial support and all of that, that has not happened yet. We are hoping that it may happen in future. But we know that the Ministry of Education knows about our work. And when they come here, they say good things to us, and we are encouraged by that. We are hoping that in future, we will benefit other ways from them. And maybe they are planning something, maybe they are packaging something, we don't know. We want to just stay positive and hope that in future they will look at supporting local schools, not just our school, but other local schools too.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So from what you said now, Knox has not graduated any set yet, right?
Yes, we have not. Our first set will be graduating from just SS3 next year after their WAEC in May, June.
Okay, wow, that's interesting. That's amazing.
Yes.
That's great. Well done, sir. So, I'm interested. What motivation did you have in setting up this kind of school system?
All right. So, I have a co-founder. Madam Irene Bangwell, who incidentally is my wife. She's passionate about learning. She's passionate about curriculum development. And so she's been doing teacher training, curriculum development, and all of that. And she's been worried that the quality of our curriculum and learning is not producing the kind of talent that our current challenges need to be addressed. And then I work with young people, and then as I work with young people, I keep seeing the talent deficits, the poverty, and all of that. And I know that education can be a big game changer. And so together we kept having this conversation. What can we do? What can we do? Especially for poor children, to reduce poverty, because poverty is generational. If a family is poor and they did not send their next generation of children to school, what will happen is that the next generation will continue in poverty. And so that's why we decided that how can we contribute to this problem? Our nature is that if there's a problem, don't join the bandwagon of complainers. Do something about it. I'm an Ashoka fellow. I'm a young global leader of the World Economic Forum and all of that. And we're always talking about solutions. So I said, hey, let's see what we can do to contribute to solving the problem. And that's how it took us 2 years of brainstorming, planning, discussion, and all of that. And finally, we started this all again in 2017, and eventually in 2019, we set up the first Knosk.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this session. Okay, at this point, we have other persons on the call. I don't know if you have anything to say before we move on. Hello.
Hi, Praise. Hi, Praise. Good afternoon.
Hi.
I've been following the conversations. It's been really, really inspiring, to say the least. So I think you can only listen to the conversation from Mr. Kingsley, and you've done just that. As best as possible. So it's really great being here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I'm very grateful for the opportunity, for allowing us the opportunity. We still have Tessie, who is our leader on this call. So I don't know if at this point she has anything to say before we proceed.
Thank you, Praise. She said, well, I'm basically just like, well, I'm guiding them. Praise she's very passionate about education, school, and children. And when she came across Knox Education, of course, the first thing she said was, she said this since April. She has talked about Knosk Education. Okay, her passion made us also have interest and read about the school, and we are really impressed. And to be honest, we in fact we find ourselves being honored to actually showcase what Knox is doing, because this is once in a life type of innovation you come across, where people just decide that I want to be part of the change and actually do something to be part of the change the best way they can. And this is actually a show of passion, right? Coming up with the idea of daily payments, breaking it down to the smallest amounts possible. It's basically just more about passion itself than even what's being done. And so we appreciate this so much, and we're so grateful that you gave us a chance to showcase what you're doing to our network. And anyone who will come across this video, they get to hear from you yourself directly, like Itunu said, what you're doing and how they can help, and the systems that you've put in place that actually is very sustainable. So thank you very much, and thank you, Praise, for this beautiful find. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We're also
All right,
honored to
you're
be a part of
welcome,
this.
man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. So I think we've done justice to what is important. Well, but before we go, I don't know if you have any questions for us as an organization.
Well, no, but in parting words, it was Franklin Roosevelt that said that the real safeguard of democracy is education. The real
Yes.
safeguard, the real safeguard of democracy is education. What it means is that for especially our policymakers and government officials and all of that, this democracy will not thrive if we don't fix education. This democracy will not survive if we don't fix education. And so we need to begin to look at education as an integral part of our security, of our safety, of our survival, of our development. And so I'm using this to make an appeal to every stakeholder, especially policymakers, people who are decision makers in relation to education. Education is not something you do out of pity. Education budget and support is not something you do out of pity or to win elections. No. Education is the foundation for the sustainability and the safety and coexistence of our society. And if Franklin Roosevelt, who is a father of democracy, could see this and say it, I am hoping that our policymakers, politicians and lawmakers, and even private sector can see this, that our nation cannot grow beyond the quality and investment of our education. And our democracy itself would not be able to advance beyond our education. And I hope that everyone will see the need, all put our hands on deck and make our education work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We are very grateful, just like our coordinator said. When I came across North School, I went up to your site, I read everything, and I've been so interested. I've not been able to visit the school, but I've always had it in mind. And I'm very grateful for
We're
the
looking forward to
explanation,
your visit.
for the responses. I believe that everyone that comes across this video will be interested in supporting North School in any way possible, because at this point everyone's hand must be on deck to see that these children are in school and they are learning. Thank you very much, and long live North School, long live Queentrepreneur Women's Foundation. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
everyone
And
for joining
you
the
too. Have a
call.
blessed day ahead.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you.
Yeah, bye everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.